She's a bit... Hi, so today I'm going to be doing a review of the Shadowhunters Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. It has these 6 books, and I'm basically going to tell you what I think about them and what I think about the series as a whole, and if I recommend that you read it. The first book is The City of Bones, and this one basically serves to introduce you into the world of Shadowhunters and everything that is going on in this fictional world. Basically, Shadowhunters are this race of half human, half angel, and they fight demons. So it introduces you to the world of Shadowhunters, what they are, what they do. So it sets a really good foundation for the rest of the series, for the Mortal Instruments, and for the entire Shadowhunters universe. So the main characters that it starts out with are Clary, Jace, Alec, Isabel, and Simon. So Clary is basically a normal girl. The whole entire series pretty much follows her pretty closely, and she finds out that she's actually a Shadowhunter because her mom was a Shadowhunter who went missing, and so she gets dragged into this world, and it's basically about her figuring out what's going on, what does she want to do, who she really is versus who she thought she was, and it's just a very heartwarming story about that. And then Simon, who's another very important character, is Clary's best friend, and he sort of gets dragged into the Shadowhunter world with her, and then that's where they meet Alec, Isabel, and Jace, who are 3 Shadowhunters who are their same age. They're all teenagers, I guess 16, 17, and then basically it's about their entire journey and what they go through together, which is really, really fun. Personally, I would give City of Bones a 9 out of 10 because it's surprisingly fast-paced, considering how much they need to explain, but it's also not my favorite in the entire series. I know that there are some people who really don't like City of Bones. I don't know, I like it, but that's why I give it a 9 out of 10. So book 2 is City of Ashes. This one I didn't like as much as City of Bones, which is the first book, because I feel like it's really just serving as a transition between book 1 and 3 and sort of sets up the context that you need to understand the events in book 3, but it's not as fast-paced or action-packed as either of the books before or after it, which is why I gave it an 8 out of 10, but it's still very entertaining. It's a great book nonetheless. It's just not as good as the other ones in the series. Okay, so next is book 3, City of Glass. This book is my favorite book in the entire series. It is so good. It's definitely, I think, if not the most action-packed, but one of the most action-packed books in the whole series. It's always moving. There's always some plot twist that you're not expecting, which is really, really exciting. And it's so great. I love it so much. I like City of Glass as well because apart from all the action and the fighting that's going on in this shadow world, it also describes these beautiful visuals that paint a really clear and amazing picture, which I think Cassandra Clare does really well, especially in this book. So there's a little bit of everything for everyone when you read it, which is what I really like about it. So here's where it kind of gets interesting. I feel like in the Mortal Instruments there are 2 main plots. So there's a build-up, a climax, and the big event, and then there's a second one. It almost feels like 2 different stories in one big series. So City of Glass basically wraps up the first major conflict, and in the next book, City of Fallen Angels, which is book 4, they introduce the next big moment, and it begins this second build-up, which is very, very unique. I haven't read many series that are broken up like that, which I really like. So something really unique about City of Fallen Angels that I also really like about it is that you follow the perspective of each distinct character, and so there are many different storylines that you're following, and it shows how even though they're all living through the same thing, they're all having very different experiences, which I think is very representative of real life where there are multiple sides to every story. Another thing that makes it so captivating is that since you're following so many different storylines, I know what's going on. The reader knows all these different things that the characters in the book don't know because they're not really speaking to each other about it. They're all having their own unique experiences. So you almost feel like you're putting the puzzle together from outside and watching the characters try to figure it out. And it's just really entertaining because of that. And I think that's why I would give it a 9 9 out of 10. So book 5 is this one, City of Lost Souls. So this one is very similar to book 3, City of Glass, because it's also very action-packed, it's always moving, and City of Lost Souls especially is the one where there are the most plot twists, which is why it's like so entertaining. Every chapter ends in a complete cliffhanger and you genuinely don't know what's gonna happen next, which is why I like it so much. In City of Lost Souls, that's when all the characters who were originally having these very unique and separate passages finally come together, and all of their stories like come together to form one big story, and you see all of the puzzle pieces click together, which is not only really satisfying, but it's also really entertaining because now there's such a large and complicated plot with so many different sides to it, which is why the book is so interesting. Because of all these things, I would definitely give City of Lost Souls a 10 out of 10. For the final book, City of Heavenly Fire. This one is clearly the biggest of all the books. It is super thick, but I'm not complaining. So much happens, and even though it's like so big, I went through it so quickly because you just don't want to put the book down, which is really amazing. So City of Heavenly Fire is also incredibly action-packed, like City of Lost Souls, which came before it, but it's less combat and like conflict, and it's more trying to hash out a plan to solve this big problem that they've been dealing with for basically the entire series, but didn't become prominent until the last 2 books, because it's the second major problem, as I was saying before, where they're the 2 big conflicts that they're talking about. So given that City of Heavenly Fire is the last book in the series, I think that Cassandra Clare wrapped up the Mortal Instruments so well with this book because it gives a sense of closure to all of the problems that were happening before, and it's really satisfying to feel like everything finally comes together. However, it does leave a lot of questions unanswered, which I think is also part of why I like the ending so much, because it doesn't feel like everything just sort of stops and all of a sudden was like perfect. There are definitely a lot of problems that are still left to be solved, which will be solved in the other series within the Shadowhunters universe. So it definitely makes you want to read more and read the other series, which is really great. So what are my final thoughts on the entire series? I think it is 100% worth reading. I've read it, as I said before, 2 times now, and even reading it again, there were so many points where I was like on the edge of my seat, even if I did know what was going to happen next, and I've never had that with any other series before, so I think that's something that definitely makes the series very unique. I also would definitely recommend reading The Mortal Instruments before you go to read other books in the Shadowhunters universe, because it was released first, so it definitely explains the Shadowhunters universe, and it begins to lay a foundation for all the connections between the characters, which is very helpful to understand when you go to read the other series if you do decide to do that. So in the end, I would definitely give the Shadowhunters Mortal Instruments series a 10 out of 10, because even though there are books like City of Ashes that weren't my favorite in the series, I still definitely felt like a sense of continuity and like they were a necessary step to get to the last book, and they contributed to the series as a whole, so there isn't much that I would change about it. So yeah, that's basically my thoughts on the Mortal Instruments series. I definitely recommend you get your hands on it, given that we are in quarantine and there's a lot of time now to read and sit down and do a bunch of things that we probably wouldn't do in our everyday hectic lives. This series is definitely worth a read. And yeah, I hope you liked my video. I've been wanting to do a book review for a long time because I have a friend who does movie reviews, and I'm just really passionate about these books. I think Cassandra Clare is an amazing author. I love all of her stuff, so I just thought I'd share that. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Bye!